Okay. So what do we have next? We have a few minutes left and a couple more items to Oh, a
Yeah,
big one. A
there's a
big,
lot
big,
of.
big one. Yeah. Check this out. Marina, you may be interested to know this is from whatculture.com. That sounds very American, but I don't think they're American.
They're not.
I think they're Irish. Okay. Kate Mulgrew says Janeway's Star Trek return is being pursued. Marina,
Yes.
did you hear
Yeah,
this announced on the cruise?
it was not announced. I'm not quite familiar with this website, so it seems like, one of those news that are being literally sucked out of a single sentence. That's something that Kate said during the panel. What I mentioned,
Right.
an evening with Kate Mulgrew. Basically, it comes up every time that she goes. Doesn't matter where. There's always a question: is there going to be a live action Janeway return at some point, whether a separate series as part of something? Your choice of whatever suggestion. And she basically, the way she phrased it, she said there has been conversations. So it sounded a little bit more than, well, I've been approached and said no, nobody really knows. So unless there's some kind of a specific statement coming from the powers that be,
Mhm.
we're not going to know for sure until that happens. But she seemed fascinated by the fact that there was a very strong reaction from the crowd.
Really?
Because she said, she's like, do you want Janeway to come back? I mean, the entire Royal Theater went, yes,
Why would she think that that was
well, because yeah, from her standpoint, I mean, this is a job that she had 30 years ago. It's a character that she deeply, deeply cares for and is very protected of. So, she said that multiple times in interviews. If she were to come, if the character were to come back, it would have to
Mhm.
be, very solid writing. She's not just gonna do it as a fan service or anything else, which makes sense.
Mhm.
So at this point, would I like Janeway to come back? Oh, hell yeah. I mean, she's certainly the character that, carries your Star Trek hope, basically, if you will. And we need hope, seeing how things are. So yeah, but she kind
Hmm.
of yeah, she was asking these sort of questions. She's like, "You sure?" And people were very enthusiastic. So, as the evening
Yeah.
was ended, she actually said, she said, "You guys gave me a lot to think about." So
She's
what that
come on,
means
she knows
is
people
anybody's
want her
guess.
back. She's like, "Oh,
Uh,
Yeah.
really? You want little old
They
me,
like
little
me. They
Captain
really
Janeway?"
like
And
me.
consider
Oh,
the fact this is not exactly an easy thing to commit to, because especially if she comes
Yeah.
back with a character on the level where you carry the show. So,
Yeah.
Well,
it's
yeah,
it's not, yeah. Go ahead, Melissa.
the article did state that because we have been hearing this kind of thing from many sources, many people, that they are being approached for to come back to Star Trek,
Yeah,
and they are theorizing that perhaps that they're looking into a legacy type series, but
yeah,
playing around with that anthology
yeah.
idea
yeah.
so it wouldn't be carrying the entire series, but coming back for maybe an episode that would be about this character.
Yeah.
And
Well, that it all
that's what,
kind of goes down to the fact, like, is that something that you would be interested in? Sort of a
right?
one-shot deal? Or, would she be willing to commit to something of the scope and size of, say, Picard, for instance? So
Yeah.
who's to say? Again, until we have something more concrete, your guess, anybody's guess is as good as anybody else's. You know. But
Yeah.
yeah, it was interesting the way she phrased it, that the conversations have been had, so
Well,
I suppose
the
that means that,
ex
yeah.
yeah, because Sean Ferrick, who is I think associated with What Culture
Hmm.
news
Yeah.
outlet,
Yeah.
he
Oh, I
was
usually
on the
listen to them.
cruise.
That's where I heard the name. Now I realize
Trek
why.
Yeah.
culture.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, Sean was on board. Yeah, I was
Yeah,
hoping to bump into
and
him and I never did.
he has an exact quote saying there is a conversation happening. It is
Exactly.
Interesting.
being pursued.
Yeah.
Hmm. Interesting. Makes me
So,
think, there used Pocketbooks had an anthology series called The Captain's Table. And it
Yep.
was this
Ooh.
really cool
Hmm.
series where it was like this particular bar that would happen to appear at random. and only somebody who had been the captain of a starship at some point, or not I shouldn't say just a starship, but a captain of any sort of ship at some point had access to it. And so you went in, and the first drink was free, but the second drink would cost you a story. And so the book was told from the perspective of whatever captain. So the fact that we've talked about, Shatner has been, maybe considering it now, Janeway. I mean, could we
Hmm.
be doing something similar like the captains, where we're getting, maybe an anthology series for these starship captains?
Okay. I don't know.
Interesting. Yeah.
I don't
Well, I suppose
know.
once they, I don't know, work out the details. Speaking of this captain's table, it had really cool artwork that was done by the late great Keith Birdsong. Trying to find it so I can actually. Oh, come on. Let's see if that works. Yeah. So that was, I think that was the original 4 or 5 books that had.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Wow.
that's
So
so
interesting enough, as you
cool.
can see, it had Captain Sulu. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah,
So I
that
know I
is
have the
cool.
Janeway's bit of it.
Thanks for watching that clip. You can find us on the main viewer live every Tuesday night at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern to talk about all of the week's Star Trek news.